to let you know, what I'm doing here is that this is sheep milk halloumi.
Yep.
And what I'm boiling up here is the whey, which is the leftover product of the cheese. So when you start with the cheese, you've got milk.
Yep.
And then you add a rennet, we use a vegetarian rennet, and it coagulates the milk.
Oh,
and so it separates the milk solids from the watery substance, essentially. Okay?
Oh,
does that make sense? Yep. Okay, so what I've done already, this was yesterday, is that I've made this cheese, which is halloumi.
Okay.
Now, halloumi is a cheese that you will cook eventually. So when you go to eat it, you actually cook it, fry it up, or barbecue it. Yep. And it's a cheese from Cyprus. It's a really nice one. Now, to get the nice squeaky feel that you get when you cook it, we have to cook it first. So we cook it, and then we make it cold, and then we sell it, and you guys buy it, and you cook it again, but on the barbecue, and you get that nice squeaky cheese, but it doesn't melt so much. And that's happened because of the process we're going through now. Okay. So I've now separated it, and I'm heating the whey up again, which is the watery byproduct. Yep. And when it's warm enough, which it is, I just pop a slice of the halloumi in. We'll put a few in. 6. So now we let that cook, and it does take a little while, so I don't know if we want to wait around for it or not. And then we take it out and we let it cool. So 6.
How long do you cook it for?
Probably about 10 minutes.
Number 8. Sorry, when somebody talks to me when I'm counting it, I always lose count.
And the reason I have to count is because otherwise when I go to take it out I can't remember how much is in there. Because the whey is, as you can see, it's not clear.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right, you get them stuck at the bottom.
Okay.
So essentially these will now bubble away for around 10 minutes.
Yep.
And then it changes the structure.
Yep.
And it needs to get to the right structure for what we want in the end. The cheese itself needs to get up to 70 degrees. And so the whey is now probably sitting at around about 80. Yep. So it does take a while for that cheese to actually take on board that heat.
So you mentioned before about how cheese was actually made. Can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Okay, so when the milk comes in from the dairy,
the
first thing we need to do is to pasteurise the milk. Okay. So that's what this guy over here does. He essentially works like a double boiler. So there's a skin around the outside which a whole lot of really hot water runs through, and that brings the temperature of the milk up to 71 degrees. And we hold it at 71 degrees for a minimum of 2 minutes, and that actually pasteurises the milk, which kills all the bugs in the milk that are likely to make people sick. And then we flick a switch, and instead of running hot water through it, we run cold water through it, and that then cools the milk down. And that cools it down to the setting temperature, which for most of the cheeses we make is around about 32 degrees.
Okay.
And at that point then you add whatever it is you're going to add. So you might add, depending on if you're making a brie or a blue or feta or whatever, you'll add different amounts of culture or rennet or whatever.
Okay, so that distinguishes the different types of cheeses, how much culture you actually add.
How much culture, how much rennet, how hot the milk is, all of those things that can, at the start, they'll help distinguish the cheese you make, what mould you put in, all of that sort of stuff. So then, and there's also then a process of time, like how long you leave the milk. As I was saying before about the fresh curd, you actually put a tiny bit of stuff in that, but you leave it for 24 hours. Whereas say feta, you put a lot of stuff in and you leave it for an hour and a half. So does that sort of make sense?
Yeah, that does.
So so that's what he does. And then it goes from there, and you would put it into some hoops. I don't know if you can see them up there, but there's a whole lot of bars. So the cheese will go into something like that to drain. See there's holes in it?
Yeah.
So all that whey that's now sitting in this pot can drain away, and what you're left with is just the cheese. That's exactly right. Which is good. So, and then that's pretty much it. Then you've got cheese. I mean, then you can do a whole lot of other things afterwards. Like if it's going to be a blue cheese, you'll add some blue mould. If it's going to be a brie, you'll add white mould. You need to look after it in different ways. But essentially, that's they're the steps. Pasteurise it, cool it, add your
Fantastic.
starter, your rennet,
Yeah.
and away you go.